Welcome to the Lawson and Gift podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, share the videos. We got a guest on the show today, Marcus, to talk about your Detroit Lions. And Matt,
What's up?
What's going on? And Matt Patricia, man, me and Lawson both think he should be fired. I also think the GM should be fired. I'm going to turn it over to you guys, but I think we have to preface this conversation with the fact that Jim Caldwell was fired with 9 wins. Just want to put that out there.
Oh, yeah, no question. First off, I should let you know that I'm a Vikings fan just like Lawson, Skull. Just thought I should say that because I just thought this was a good topic to discuss. But that said, I'll start this by saying that I wouldn't personally be the one to fire him given the circumstances because I don't think it's his fault that his quarterbacks played through so many injuries through the last decade that he now has broken bones in his back that might keep him out the rest of the year. I don't think it's his fault that they're trading away the only thing that resembled a corner aside from Darius Slay, and now they're being forced to play Justin Coleman on the outside where he's completely terrible since the move. But that said, I think you hit on it pretty well. He didn't take over a terrible team. He took over a 9-7 team that was tops in the league offensively. They had defensive issues, but even last season – when everything went wrong, they were still top 10 in the league defensively. And this year they're just god awful in that area. I actually have the stats right here. And okay, so the Lions are 10th in total offense, and that includes top 5 in passing yards in both volume and yards per attempt. Yet they're worse in points allowed, fifth worst in points allowed, and third worst in yards allowed compared to last year where they were 10th in yards allowed. And their opponents start with the second worst field position in the league, and yet their defense is bottom 5 in points allowed per drive because it gives the third most yards per drive in the league. And a big part of this is because of penalties. 30th in the league in terms of numbers of first downs that the other team get through penalties.
Did his internet cut off? Oh, come on.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, we're getting some lag in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that. Sorry about that.
And I'll just go off of what you said, but I think that's even more the reason for Patricia to be fired. And I saw that stat too. The defense is getting worse since he took over. And sure, there was a trade there you mentioned in the secondary, and that's fine. But they also have had chances to bring in Patricia-type players like Trey Flowers. They've made moves. Mike Daniels. They tried to get better. It hasn't worked out. But Patricia's supposed to be a defensive mind. That's where he was supposed to improve the team, and it's just gotten actually significantly worse from last year.
Can I just pose a question to Marcus? So when you watched Detroit last year, when you sat down and watched them play, did you say, God damn, this is a top 10 defense. So this defense can impose its will on games. I understand that they probably averaged out to 10 last year, but what big plays have they even made on defense in the Patricia era? I just wanted to say that to you. Eye test wise, was it a top 10 defense for you last year?
Yeah, to be completely honest, as soon as I saw that team get lit up by the Jets on Monday Night Football in the third quarter, I knew they were in serious trouble. And they've only improved in one area defensively this year as opposed to last season, and that's enforcing turnovers. But you got to think that a significant part of that is because the defense can't get off the field, so obviously you're going to have more opportunities to force turnovers if you're constantly having to be on the field. So I'm going to be taking that one with a grain of salt.
So
third downs at 41.5%, which is actually pretty good, 12th in the league, but they give up third downs at over 46%, which is bottom 5%.
Well, I just want to point this out, though, too. I mean, I understand that Stafford's hurt, but they weren't doing that good when he was in either. It's just recently, the past couple of weeks, he's been out. So I don't think we can really use that as an excuse.
Well, can I make my argument for why Patricia should be fired? Firstly, signing Justin Coleman, Danny Amendola, Trey Flowers. They don't have any speed on defense. It's a slow defense. You saw even when Minnesota played them, that defense is so slow. I think they are the slowest team in this league outside of the Patriots, firstly. So when you sign someone like Justin Coleman, that's not a good situation. When you overpay for Trey Flowers, that's not a good situation. For instance, the Vikings have two better defensive ends than Trey Flowers, and Trey Flowers, we know he plays like 5 technique, but what has he done this year? And then I hear the excuses while he's hurt. Then we hear, look at how much they invested in the offensive line the past 2 off seasons. It's crazy how much they invested. Can they even run the ball now? We heard, C.J. Anderson's coming. The year before, LeGarrette Blount's coming. Then Kerryon Johnson's going to be a star. I had Lions fans on here saying he's going to be better than Dalvin Cook. It is honestly a little bit ridiculous, and that's why Matt Stafford's hurt. They've never been able to run the ball, even when Schwartz was the head coach. They still can't run the ball even with massive investment. They're slow. They're tired. And this man, he's synced with the GM. Gift's right. The GM needs to go as well. It's not just like the GM. People need to understand this. It's not just the GM acting in a nutshell away from Patricia. This is pure symbiosis. This is pure Patriots pixie dust. Almost every player they sign has connections with the Patriots, and it's just lame as fuck at this point. And he needs to get out, and we didn't even talk about his man management skills. That's my argument for him going. They need to cut bait until this turns into like a New York Jets situation, which is honestly heading. And Stafford's been playing great this year, but without a run game, like you said, I don't know if there's any quarterback who's taken more punishment in his career.
Yeah, I think you hit on that point pretty well about how when Patricia first came in, they expected him to make him into the Midwest Patriots, and that just frankly hasn't happened. I mean, don't even get me started on the Trey Flowers signing, dude. They paid him like he was Daniil Hunter, and he'd never shown any sort of resemblance of being a pass rusher in his career. I mean, the guy's had 7 sacks at most?
Yeah, but my Patriots. And then they don't even have an edge rusher. That is what scares me when we're supposed to hear this guy is like some sort of football genius. He's magisterial thinker above us all, but yet they don't even have someone who can give a speed rush. It's rather scary.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear about Snacks Harrison and Flowers, manning the inside and making them a formidable run defense. That hasn't happened either. If you
they can't even stop the run. That's one thing that's concerning. I mean, if you're going to load up with Snacks Harrison, Trey Flowers, and Alshon Robinson, other people they invest heavily in, you would think they'd be able to stop the run, but they can't even do that. That's why I think this is an untenable situation at this point. And if they keep going down this road, well, it's good for the rest of the division. But if you're a Detroit fan, this is going nowhere fast. This is going to Jet zone. This is going to Tampa Bay Buccaneer zone at this point.
Maybe if they didn't draft a tight end with their first round draft pick, maybe if they would have went in a different direction with that. But I think that's even more of an issue too. Year in and year out with these drafts, Bob Quinn really can't make any excuses for him. I actually got to bring something up that I was a little bit disgusted about with Patricia this past week. He actually went to the length of an excuse saying the players are having a hard time understanding his playbook. Now, that's either saying he's not doing a good job coaching or he's calling the players stupid. I got a problem with that either way. But that's a lame excuse. I just wanted to bring that up because he did say that.
Did he really say that, Geff?
Yeah. He says he needs to teach it better because the players aren't grasping what he wants to do.
I'll let Marcus respond to that. I think I just want to say real quick that is ridiculous.
That just seems like more like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at this point. I mean, I guess they could put Mike Daniels in over Alshon Robinson if they were really trying to do something, but it just feels like it would be all for naught at this point. I think that over the length of the season, we're going to see this team finish probably 5-10-1, and it's going to become increasingly harder to justify Patricia staying there, even with the mitigating circumstances this season's dealt him. Like, I mean, you can't blame the rest for every loss.
Well, that's my point, and it felt like it got to pure deflection mode. Like some people are trying to paint it out to be. I wasn't trying to jump on you, but some people are trying to paint this picture or push this narrative that, well, the reason this season got deflated was because of Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford played fantastic against the
Yeah,
Vikings.
no, he's not the problem. He's not close to the problem with that team.
Yeah, exactly. And then everyone tries to pin that loss against Green Bay, which was, yes, it was robbery. There's no doubt about it. But they try to paint that for the downfall instead of this man losing the team. And then that's another problem. Like, I want to get into his man management skills. This team looks flat and unmotivated a lot of the times. And that Jets game you mentioned in this first season was probably the hallmark of that experience for me.
Well, you think he lost the team?
Yeah. Giff, he lost a team after the Green Bay game, and I know Stafford got injured, and we know they fought a little bit with Driscoll, and they didn't look that bad against the Bears or the Cowboys, but this man lost a team after the Green Bay game, and I know they responded a little bit in that first season, but I don't know. It just feels like it's lost, and it's a defensive coach, and they don't even have a run game. That's maybe the defense is really concerning, no doubt, because it's so poor right now. But also the lack of run game is probably the biggest issue on this team going forward, and that hasn't been fixed even with heavy investment. And he's picking these players. If these players can't understand the system and they can't sync up and produce in a manner that is effective, why is he picking these players? And we need to give him. Very few coaches have the control he has over personnel.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm getting pretty tired of them acting like they're all in on Kerryon Johnson and then splitting up carries between him and LeGarrette Blount and Theo Riddick and Ty Johnson. Like, I'm going to stop drafting him in fantasy every year if this keeps happening.
You got to. And so let me ask you a question. So you think Patricia should keep his job just due to like opportunity costs, due to all the money they invested on people like Trey Flowers and Justin Coleman? You think he should just keep the job because of that?
It's more because I don't think that he's been given a fair chance at this point. Now, I get the argument that if you want to cut bait on him because you don't think he's the long-term answer, you should do that and just cut your losses and move on. I'm just saying, if you really want to give him one more chance to do it next offseason with another revamp and reload, at least, give him that opportunity before that. But if he can't even churn out 7-9 or 8-8, he needs to go.
Yeah, this is an 8-win team, I think, and they're underachieving immensely. I just think when you look at other coaches that have done a lot with less, if you look at even Ron Rivera with Carolina, that defense, they're talent depleted to a certain extent, but he overachieves with them. You would expect the same from Patricia, but you get crazy stats. Like in the last 5 games, the only team not to score 26 points on them was Mitchell Trubisky and the Bears. They lost 6
still
of
got
their
to
last
20.
7. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad, and it just feels like that Arizona game, the way that started the season, it kind of feels like that was hanging over them the entire way. It's like the story of the season for them, that tie.
But remember,
could have won, and then.
But Giff, you remember when everyone kept saying the undefeated Detroit Lions after they blew a game to the Cardinals? And the Cardinals are a lot better now. But the Cardinals were really bad that game, and it showed the lack of speed. And I understand the opportunity cost with Patricia. It's probably best to give him another year, but I don't think you can at this point because we're past an X and O's point with this team. We're to the front office now where this man has made a mockery of the free agent market. Like we can even go back and look at 2018 free agency. It was just as ugly as this year. None of this stuff really works out. But Giff, you were mentioning the tight end position. The reason why they drafted Hawkinson is because they're scared. They are scared when they make moves. They do not have any individual vision or any sort of creativity when making moves. That's why if I was owning the team, would you really want to give this man another draft, another off season to sign Patriots rejects or Patriots players who peaked one year and now they're going in to get their pay like Dion Lewis or Logan Ryan. Is that really what you want to do in the future? I can't agree with that. And I know the third year thing, it's actually a really good argument, especially with how much has transpired there.
Right.
But I think you might set it back to Jets, Tampa Bay Buccaneers levels. I got to keep repeating that. This might turn into a Giant situation.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a situation that's going backwards, not forwards. And when you take over a 9-win team, maybe it'll take a year or so to, maybe you have one down year to get things right. But, we're going on the second year. It's definitely trending downwards. And, you mentioned the draft again with Hawkinson. They let Ed Oliver go, and I think that's a position that they desperately needed, an interior pass rushing defensive tackle. He would have helped this team out a lot, I think.
And just the last thing I need to say, though, is where's the edge rusher? And we already touched on that, but that's one thing I need to reiterate about this team. Where's their edge rusher? And listen, anyone who's an NFC North fan or like a true hardcore football fan knows Glover Quinn was really good. But, losing Glover Quinn from a defense shouldn't destroy your secondary to the point of incompetence. That's my last point. And that's how ugly it is that they're missing Glover Quinn. And it's just bad.
Yeah, they've had enough time to prepare for a backup plan for Quinn. I gotta think this is probably one of the worst pair of safeties in the league.
It is. It is, but we keep hearing, oh, well, he worked under Bill Belichick. He can put the pieces wherever, and then he can do it. Then we see Kirk Cousins putting up 400 yards on him, and then you're just saying, wow, they're not even close to people. And we need to reiterate again, I am really worried about their run defense as well. We know the linebackers are booty, but look at how many linebackers they've added the past 2-3 years. Like Jared Davis can't play. Christian Jones can't really play. I don't even know if he's on the roster anymore. I know they added Kennard 2 years ago. They're just so bad at linebacker, but even their front where they spent all the money, they can't stop the run. I don't know what they can do right on defense. He needs to lose his job. That's my last point.
And then they wasted a second-round draft pick, it seems, on a linebacker, Tavai. And obviously that doesn't look like it's working out. So even more reason why Bob Quinn needs to be fired as well. And I don't know if anybody has anything else to add, but I do have a question to end the show on.
Yeah, I just want, before we go, though, you can ask the question, but make sure, Marcus, you shout out your YouTube and everything so you can get some people flooding your page.
Oh, I don't have anything like that, dude.
Oh, okay.
But I appreciate it. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Marcus already answered it, but I'll throw it out there. Vegas has it over or under 2.5 wins for Detroit to end the season. Because I'm going under.
I'm feeling the under as well. Also, when you guys made your picks yesterday for the Vegas over/under spread, I thought the Detroit and Washington one was probably the lock of the week at this point with Stafford out. If he was playing, it would be a different story. But Driscoll being in there, gotta think under is pretty easy on this one.
I like that point. Okay, so I'm gonna just read off the schedule. At Redskins, home against the Bears, at Vikings, home against the Bucks, at Broncos, and then home against the Packers. Yeah, under. You guys are right. I like that bet. Was it even money, Giff? It was even money, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's a great bet. I'm going under. I like that bet.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. Marcus, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.